friends, Mr. Bell here, just to explain about our new topic. So, our next topic is called 1066 and it's going to focus on this really important year in British history. It'll be a really nice unit for us to do because it'll incorporate some of the different units that we've already talked about. It's going to involve the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings that we've already learned about this year, and we'll introduce a new group called the Normans. Now 1066 was a really interesting year. It was the last invasion that was successful of Britain. Obviously earlier this year we talked about the Romans and their invasion, and the Norman invasion of Britain in 1066 is the last successful one. So it's been nearly 1,000 years since Britain has been successfully invaded, which is quite a cool fact. Now, we're going to focus on those three groups all fighting over Britain. We've got the Vikings with Harold Hardrada, we've got the Anglo-Saxons with Harold Godwinson, and then we'll have the Normans with William the Conqueror, which may give away who ends up winning this. We'll focus on some of the battles, we'll focus on those three men and what their claims to the throne were, and we'll think about some of the big impacts that come out of 1066 and what William the Conqueror did that actually still impacts Britain today. As a little bit of a research, what you could do is find out some facts about this William the Conqueror and see what you can find out already, because that'll be really useful for when you bring that into the lesson. Thanks, guys.
Hello to our Year 4 families. My name is Miss Enza and I will be explaining a little bit more about what we will be covering in English over the next few weeks. As you may know from our Seesaw posts, our focus for writing this half term is narrative. We've based our writing on our current topic 1066, and this is to give the children a more in-depth knowledge of what happened during that time in history. We've already looked at the structure of a narrative and we've broken this down to support the children with their stamina for writing. Each week they'll develop each part of their story further. We've picked out some of the main features found in the story, and one of those features that we're looking at more closely is direct speech. Punctuating direct speech can be quite tricky, so what I'm going to do now is show you a couple of examples of how we might do that. We start with a sentence that includes speech. First of all, we need to place our inverted commas where the speech happens. That's my sword is what's being said. So we need inverted commas before and after the speech. We then need to place a comma at the end of the speech before the inverted comma. Our reporting clause comes at the end. That shows us who said it. So to finish, we need a full stop. So in the second example, it's the same sentence, but this time the reporting clause, who said it, comes at the start. Again, we need to place our inverted commas where the speech happens. Edwin stated, "That's my sword." So our inverted commas go before and after the speech. We then have the reporting clause at the start, so we need to place a comma before the speech. We also need a full stop at the end. This needs to come inside the inverted commas. So for this example, I wanted to show you how punctuation can change the way something is read. Again, we need our inverted commas to show where our speech starts and ends. That's my sword. This time I'm going to add an exclamation mark after that's my sword. We use exclamation marks to show strong emotion. So this tells us that Edwin's almost shouting this sentence. "That's my sword," stated Edwin. We also need a full stop at the end of the sentence to show that it's finished. If the reporting clause doesn't start with a name, stated Edwin, the name comes after, then we need a lowercase letter here. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and I can't wait to support the children with their writing.
Hi Griffins, Mr. Bell here, just to explain what we are going to be doing in maths this half term. So there's going to be a couple of topics we're going to do. We've got a lot of stuff to pack in this half term, but it should be okay. First of all, we are going to carry on with some of our decimals work. We've done a couple of weeks of it, but we will just be finishing off our unit for the next first 2 weeks. After that, we'll start moving on to some of the other, I like to say, a little bit more interesting area of maths, where we've got to use more of our problem solving areas, where we look at money, and then we move on to everyone's favourite unit of time. So when we're talking about decimals, really in year 4, what we're thinking about is those decimal columns that are getting added in. So we're very comfortable with our ones, our tens and our hundreds columns. They're things that we've used a lot. They're the sort of numbers we use all the time. However, now we are going to be looking at those new columns that get added in. So we have got our tenths column and we have got our hundredths column. You've got to be careful when you say it because £100 is very different than 1/100th, which is 1 pence. So I'm sure people decide what they want over their pocket money or not. So when we're talking about this, for example, if I write a number up on the board, this number here, I could say it has 4 hundreds, 3 tens, 2 ones, and then after that decimal point that always stays in the same place, I've got 1/10 and 2 hundredths. Okay, so they're the kind of the 2 decimal points we're going to look at as we go throughout this unit. When we are thinking about this, we'll also think about how, if for example, I've got 30 hundredths, it works the same way as when we're adding. We know we can't fit 2 digits into the same column, so 30 hundredths is the same as if this 3 moves into the next column, 3 tenths. So it would come into this column and would be a tenth. Decimal point will stay the same, and obviously if we've not got any ones, it will be 0.3. So again, it will work the same way in that we can only have 1 digit in each column, and if we've got more, we need to be moving them across into those larger kind of columns that we've been using. That's just a little bit of an introduction to decimals. Hopefully we have a really good half term and we get to explore some of the other units of money and time.